Hello, everyone. Welcome to this conference. I am David Sanchez Wells, and this is my conference about mapping the landscape of maturity models, where we will perform a systematic review of the high-impact contributions and emerging themes. My co-authors are Pedro Luis González Rodríguez and José Luis Andrade Pineda. Well, we are all from University of Sevilla. Pedro Luis and I, we are part of the Department of Industrial Engineering and Management Science, while José Luis is part of the Robotics Vision and Control Group. And this is a conference for a congress called NODOS DEL CONOCIMIENTO. This is the 4th edition of this International Continuing Education Congress. And the main topic of it is the innovation, research, and transfer in the age of artificial intelligences. This video and other conferences that I am also creating will be displayed on days 23rd and 24th of November in an online format. So let's go for it. First, I would like to make an introduction of how to map the landscape of maturity models. Maturity models were initially developed for software engineering. However, right now, they are considered a driver and a practical basement for transversal, holistic business processes and operations improvement. So, for this research, we had two research questions. The first of which is, what are the most impactful contributions in the field of maturity models across disciplines? And the second one is, what are the prevalent themes and research focus areas in the maturity models literature? At last, we want to say that our multidisciplinary approach reveals a significant range of highly cited works and indicates an evolution in the field's thematic focus. First, we want to talk about the methodology that we have followed. In this case, we use the PRISMA framework for systematic literature reviews. As you can see in the figure 1, this is the PRISMA flow diagram that is used to perform systematic literature reviews. We can find 4 different steps, which are identification, screening, eligibility, and finally the selection of the included papers in the analysis. Here, where in the first instance, we made a search in the Scopus database for the concept of maturity models, and we found a total of 5,898 different papers, from which 266 were excluded because they were not written in English. After this, in the screening process, we excluded a total of 3,404 results because they were not records belonging to journals, and we wanted to use peer-reviewed journals for this literature review. And finally, we performed an evaluation of the impact and level of contribution of the papers using the number of sites as a source for classification. So we only selected these papers that had more than 100 sites. Therefore, the rest were considered non-high impact articles. So we excluded a total of 2,156 papers in this step. So we finally only analyzed 72 different studies in this review. This is a commonly accepted framework, PRISMA, that many of you may already know. And as an accepted framework, it ensures methodological rigor and transparency. And, well, therefore, it's also kind of giving a guarantee of the study's reliability and validity. What did we find in a first moment? Well, performing a general analysis of these papers, we identified 4 main points. The first of which is that maturity models have evolved from the software engineering that I was saying in the first slide to applications across different sectors, where we are talking also about governmental services, about social media, and Industry 4.0. The second point is that the versatility of the maturity models is showcased in applications like supply chain management, aiding small and medium enterprises in adapting to technological changes. The third point is that the high impact contributions have expanded their domains and also critically reviewed their effectiveness and examined the influence of process maturity into outcomes. And the fourth and last point about after this general analysis is that the maturity models are becoming crucial strategic frameworks for assessing organizations and planning for future enhancements, adapting to the dynamic needs of a very high range of different sectors. Then we can find this table. This table is an answer to the question of what are the most impactful contributions. The rank is done following the number of citations, and we are going from 865 to 321. In this case, these are the top ranked papers, and as we can see, just reading the titles, there is a very the thematic are really diverse, because we in the most ranked, the first one, we are talking about big data in logistics, and in other places we can find the traditional capability model. So this is a totally different topic. Then other newer entries are focusing, as mentioned previously, in Industry 4.0 and open government. So the applicability is widening. And we also found in the seventh position a meta research that shows that there is a certain interest in the maturity of maturity models research field. So we are not the only ones that were making this question before. As a conclusion from this question, we can say that the blend of traditional themes with societal and technological issues suggests that there is a research domain maturity and underscores citation analysis as a scholarly impact indicator. Now we go for the second question, which is what are the prevalent themes and research focus areas? And this table is also giving an answer to this question. In the first place, we can find software engineering with 23 mentions. Then we can find project management, societies and institutions, mathematical models, supply chain management, industry 4.0, and software process improvement. Again, we have 4 points, and the first one is something that we already addressed in the first slide and in the previous one, that high impact keywords like software engineering trace back to the foundational influences as the capability maturity model that we were talking about. The second point, we have to say that, as mentioned, Industry 4.0 is telling us that the maturity models are also turning into more modern technological advancements. The first point, the mention of supply chain management and societies and institutions is telling us also that the applicability of maturity models is multidisciplinary. And at last, the last answer to this question that we can make is that there's a very high diversity of themes. So this indicates an evolution from technological aspects to broader societal and socio-political dimensions. Now we have the discussion section where we will talk about, well, it's previous to the conclusion section. And here we can say that actually we have a promising avenue for unified frameworks. Right now, maturity models are applied across disciplines, but there is no unified framework. So they are all disciplines that are considered separately. And for industries, the maturity models offer real insights and that allow organizations to improve. We can also say that our study is focusing on high impact papers, but as we have into account the number of sites and the keyword frequency, this also has certain limitations. Why? Because this methodology could somehow favor older works and established domains, and we could introduce academic biases. So these findings also should be interpreted with a certain caution. So, conclusions and future research. Well, we can say that the most cited maturity model work cover topics from traditional software to Industry 4.0 and societal governance. We can say that the field is clearly undergoing introspection and evolution, that future research should focus on a unified framework for broad applicability across sectors, and that emerging sectors like healthcare and renewable energy are not present here, but we consider that they may also benefit from specialized maturity models indicating a continued field evolution. Here you can find all the references that we had into account in this presentation, and this was everything. So please, if you have any question in respect of this topic, feel free to make it in the chat, or you can also add me in LinkedIn, looking David Sanchez Wells. I will be pleased to answer to any of your questions or to be one of your connections. Thank you very much, and see you in the next one.